Well, Wellesley College is currently facing an identity crisis, so let me explain what's happening. Wellesley was founded in 1870 on the principle of providing the following: an excellent liberal arts education to women who will make a difference in the world. It's had some very notable graduates: Hillary Clinton, Madeleine Albright, Diane Sawyer, actress Elizabeth Shue, and Nora Ephron, just to name a few of them. But despite women essentially being the entire premise of the college's existence, students at Wellesley College voted Tuesday to open admissions to trans men and non-binary applicants. Apparently I can't get in. I'm not sure why a woman transitioning to a man would still want to be at an all-women's college, but I digress. The college president put out a statement saying that they'll only take applicants who identify as women, and that includes biological men transitioning to women. This is all confusing, so if you don't get it, that's why we should bring in our company to help understand. Stacy Washington, host of Stacy on the Right, Grace Curley, host of The Grace Curley Show, and Lindsay, I'm going to have you help me break this down as well, because I am a non-binary man that just doesn't get this as well. So, Stacy, I want to start with you. I don't understand why we would have a women's college if everybody can go to a women's college.
So I'm old enough to remember, Sean, when they had the big disagreements about whether or not little girls could play boys football or boys soccer, or girls could go into the Boy Scouts. And we made these arguments back then. And so it's the same thing. What is a woman if a man who says he's a woman tomorrow can go to a women's college? So we have every right to have spaces in which we would choose to associate with people of the same gender or people of the same political belief, and they're destroying that. And Wellesley College, I mean, we're talking about a well-known place that a lot of women aspire to go to, but not anymore. If there's men there, why would the women want to go?
You know, Grace, this is happening up in your neck of the woods. How's it playing there?
Well, it's obviously a big news story, but as someone who lives in Massachusetts, Sean, I just have to say, the shocking part of this story to me is that it's just happening now. Like, I would have thought that this would have already been a topic of conversation, already been a big fight at Wellesley College. And so the fact that it took this long is surprising to me. But I think what Stacy just said is important. She said, what is a woman? And that's not a question that we're able to answer anymore. It's kind of this thing that we can't define. And when you can't define something, then you can't have a school that's dedicated to educating just women, because we don't even know what that is anymore. So here in Massachusetts, I mean, every day there's a new woke, crazy story. This is just one of many.
Yeah. The thing that's so interesting, Lindsay, we talk about this over and over again, is that at some point these institutions, these sports that were set up so that women could thrive, right? And if we keep allowing men to do it, then we're actually taking away from the opportunities that women have worked hard for, right?
Yeah, you're taking the words out of my mouth. If you look at Wellesley as its core, as you read their core statement, it's to propel women forward. And you talked about some of the women who have broke glass ceilings, as you would say, for other women. And now, if women are trying to, in the goal of being inclusive of everyone, they're actually taking massive steps backward for women, because you're telling men anywhere, you can just say you're us, and then you get the same rights as us. And that goes against what women have been fighting for decades now. And so why are women the ones who have to be inclusive in this? Why are women and other girls who are fighting to be seen and heard, why did they have to step aside for a man who chooses that he wants to be just like her? I mean, talk about being on the wrong side of history here. This is actually a detriment to women all over the world. I think the fascinating thing here is it's actually the students who are like, yeah, but you know, we talk to so many college students today, and they say if they don't, they'll be ostracized, if they don't fall in line with this ideology. Right. But what girl wants a guy in her locker room? What girl wants a guy playing in her sports? And now that's what you have. You know, I do want to switch gears, Stacy, because if we look throughout California, San Francisco being the latest, residents are pushing for reparations out there. I want you to hear what they had to say at a recent meeting out there.
It is time for you to do the right thing and provide us with the reparations. Make us whole. Make us important in your lives.
So, Stacy, let me ask you this. If these guys, if we start going down the path of reparations, San Francisco, California as a state, where do you think this ends up?
Well, first of all, when we moved here to the Midwest, we made a huge mistake. We should have moved to San Francisco, because then I'd be in line to get $5 million for nothing, because I was never enslaved and neither was that woman. And let me just say to you, she wants to be important in their lives. What's wrong with her? What part of her life entitles her to be important in the lives of those legislators? So it's a pander fest accompanied with a payoff to people who've never been enslaved. Now, I understand that you can say, well, you know, I deserve something because it happened to my family. It's an injustice. That's another conversation. But this isn't that. Remember, when Barack Obama was in office, he had all three parts of government. They had a little bit of talk of reparations during his campaign. He said he would look into it. He kind of gave one of those hope and change answers to it. He never took care of it. 2 whole years of them controlling all 3 levers of government where they could have done reparations and they didn't do it. So if the first black president didn't see fit to do it, why in the world would people in San Francisco, and it was never a slave state, by the way, San Francisco never had lawful slavery. So why would they be paying these people except to make it possible to keep this conversation in front of voters instead of talking about inflation, Ukraine and $100 billion there, banks failing, the energy crisis, them trying to take our gas stoves, them wanting to take all the water out of our washing machines. They don't want us talking about that. So reparations, here we go again.
Right. Grace, I got a minute left. Let me ask you this. I wonder if this is one of these issues where 5 years from now we look back and we might have said this is never going to pass. I mean, it already did pass California. As a state, California has passed this and we're grappling with it. I wonder if we look back in 5 years and we realize 10 states have now passed this. Do you think this is an isolated incident, or in 5 years we look back and there's 10, 15 states that have passed reparations?
It's so funny you say that, because I talked about this on my show a couple of months ago, and I actually remember saying, well, this is never going to go anywhere, but we might as well talk about it. And now here we are. It's getting closer and closer. So, yeah, I do think these things pick up steam. And the chairman of this committee actually said there was no math formula that went into this $5 million per person thing. That adds up to me, because when you look at the numbers, this doesn't look like something where people got together and figured out a budget. This looks like a massive handout. And when you listen to that woman and she says, make us important in your lives, I mean, the government giving you money is not what's going to make you important. You have to get that somewhere else. It's just so misguided, and it's really sad.
All right, on a lighter note, Stacy and Grace, stick around because the company quiz is next. And speaking of someone from California, Vice President Kamala Harris was booed when she was shown on the screen while attending her alma mater, Howard University's NCAA basketball game yesterday. That's a clue for the company quiz. Don't go away.